What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum, and I am back with part two of my Panini Silhouette Relic sourcing video series. And I don't know, this might be the last one. Who knows? It just depends. If interesting stuff keeps showing up and it's different than some of the stuff I've already shown, then yeah, maybe I will make another part. But nonetheless, you are getting a part two today, and I'm pretty excited about that. You might remember part one here where I showed you a lot of stuff like this Joe Ingles card here on the left where that doesn't necessarily look like a Utah Jazz patch, but I showed that it was part of this basketball patch from a 2015-2016 season warm-up. So there will be some other stuff like that today with a few other surprises mixed in. So I think you'll really enjoy it. You might also remember at the end of part one, I talked about a group of 2024 finals relics from the Dallas Mavericks. And my last question that I left you with was, where did all these finals logo patches go? Because we hadn't seen any of them yet. Well, some of them have surfaced. I'll show you those at the end, so you want to make sure to stay tuned for that. But first, I want to start off with a trio of Julius Randle dual tag cards, numbered to 5, that I've seen so far. And I think I've seen these posted several times where people said, oh, look, Julius signed these, because they assumed something scribbled on the relic, it had to have been from the player that's depicted on the card. Well, the relics are from Julius Randle, but if you do a little more digging, you might find, hey, there's another Knicks card here, Emmanuel Quickley, that has some tags with the same markings on them. And my suspicion is that this is from former Knicks manager Mike Martinez, who was with the team until 2023. I don't see this with every team, but I have seen equipment managers put their initials on part of the laundry tag, and sometimes they'll put other markings on it as well to indicate that it's ready for auction or archiving or whatever they're going to do with those jerseys. So that's my suspicion that that's what's happened here. And I do have some, there is a precedent for this that I've seen with other jersey pieces as well, even in baseball. Like there used to be that Detroit Tigers stuff was labeled by clubhouse manager Jim Schmeckel. He'd put a G for game worn, and then he'd put JS for his initials on there. Now, he's since retired as well, so you're not going to see those on new Tigers relics, but that's just another example I give you. I have noticed that there's a lot of Mavericks stuff, and yeah, I know Luka's pictured as a Laker there, but that's a Mavericks tag. I have noticed that a lot of Mavericks stuff has this K, and then it's hard to make out what the other letter is. Well, I think it's a J, because I'm guessing that that's Corey Johnson, who's theirs equipment manager. And then I did see a Trae Young tag in the new Flawless that had a scribble on it as well. I went and looked at some Hawks tags, and I'm assuming that that's from Zach Welch, their equipment manager. Now, I don't see anywhere online where that's explicitly outlined. That's just me putting some pieces together, but I think those are some pretty good clues that can help us lead to those assumptions. Speaking of signed stuff or stuff with scribbles on them, let's look at some other Julius Randle stuff. This time, these are Knicks patches that have some sort of signature on them. Now, this one, because it's on like the patch material, I assumed, hey, this probably is Julius Randle's autograph. But I was hoping that I could match it up somewhere. I didn't know if I would be able to or not. Took me a little bit, but I did find this jersey that was for sale on the NBA store. So I don't know what ended up happening, if Panini bought it straight from there or if the league gave it to them. I don't know the situation, but I think that at least some of these pieces match up with this signed Julius Randle jersey from January 21st to 2021. And I'm kind of expecting to see that game dated logo man show up here in the future as well, because I don't think it has yet, but there's one that was very close to that. I do want to show you where a few of these pieces match up. So if you look at these two cards here, I was able to match 2 of the 3 pieces to the signature from the number 3, which makes me think that, I couldn't match that third piece. They might have another signed jersey. And then I took this third card here that has just a tiny piece on it. I didn't think I was going to be able to match that up, but surprisingly, I was able to match that up with the stat line that they had there at the bottom. Otherwise, I haven't seen a lot of signed relic pieces used in Silhouette. They typically save those for Immaculate or some of the other higher end sets. I did see one, though, this Dale Ellis numbered to 5 here. I saw that. I went on Gray Flannel. That's one of my go-tos for Panini stuff. They bought a lot of stuff from Gray Flannel. You can go to their website. You can look at the archived auctions. So I looked at this one, and even though it looks darker in the picture that they provided, the signature does match up. So that is a jersey that, according to their write-up, was provided by Dale Ellis himself. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, let's move into some of the other dual pieces, kind of like that Julius Randle. There was this Al Horford piece that showed up, and the moment I saw that part on the top, I said, I know exactly where that's from. I've been saving pieces of this relic for a long time now, or saving pictures of this relic for a long time now for a future video, another warm-up video that I was going to make. This is from a warm-up shirt or a shooting shirt from the 2016 All-Star Game, which was in Toronto. It's from the tag at the very bottom of the shirt. And I had somebody ask me, well, how do you know that that's not from the All-Star Game jersey? Because they had the same tag on it as well. Well, I think it's from the shirt because if you look at these old Immaculate relics, you can see some of the other pieces of the shirt. Not only that, then we had a Paul George card emerge, and I actually bought this Paul George card, so I should have put a better picture on there instead of the eBay one with the tape on it. But anyway, had this Paul George card emerge, and it had what looked like a raptor's claw on it. Well, when I saw that, I knew exactly where that was from because I have been waiting for a piece from this shirt for a long time now because I couldn't afford some of the other ones that had shown up. Because they put a lot of it in this Chris Bosh dual booklet that was numbered to 5. And there was one on eBay for a while, but the seller was wanting just way too much money. Some of the other pieces made it into Immaculate. I can't even find pictures of it now, but it was similar to the Horford stuff. Well, anyway, they put part of this star in there with the Raptor's claw in an unnumbered dual relic. So I think that worked in my favor. I was able to make an offer that I thought was fair, but also a pretty good deal. And I'm guessing because the card wasn't numbered, the seller thought, yeah, this guy wants this unnumbered relic for this low cost. I'm going to go ahead and accept that offer. They didn't even counter. So I was very happy about that. All right, let's go to some stuff that is actually specifically labeled. We'll be bouncing around a little bit here, but this is a set called Specialty Patches, and not all of them are specifically labeled or game dated, but I asked the owner of this card, even though he didn't give me a picture, I asked him what it says on the back, and he says that it's from the 3-point contest. And I looked at the year that Phillips was in the 3-point contest, and I'm kind of puzzled where this Adidas logo came from because it's not on the jersey. He didn't wear a light blue jersey. It's not on the warm up. And even Panini, it seems like they weren't able to find a picture of him wearing it either because they put him in the All-Star jersey and not the jerseys from the 3-point contest. So I'm kind of puzzled on that one, but I think it's a cool piece nonetheless. I don't doubt that he wore it at some point. I think that maybe, I don't know, maybe some other pieces of information are mixed up though. So that I have yet to get any clarification on. This next one here, this is a Ben Simmons, I guess you could call it a Logo Man star. And the back of that card says that it was worn or used during the 2020 All-Star Game. Well, they've got a picture of him in the All-Star Game there, and it's clearly not from the blue pinstriped jersey. So you have to kind of look beyond that. And my thinking was, well, it's probably from the warm-up because I remembered Panini had used those warm-ups before. So if you look at the picture here on the right, it shows the players pregame. There's one of these on the front of the jacket, and then if you look real careful there, you can see it with Embiid and with Chris Paul. There's also one on the pair of pants. So I went back and I looked at the Immaculate Special Events material set from years ago that I remembered Ben Simmons being in. And they tell you on the back, the enclosed material is from a warm-up pants worn by Ben Simmons prior to the 2020 NBA All-Star Game. So I think it's pretty safe to say that that large logo piece is from the pair of pants because they're just using a lot of leftover stuff that they already had. All right, another really cool piece, and this is one that I used, or I think I'm going to use in the thumbnail here, is this LeBron James patch. And they clarified that it is from a Christmas Day game. And one thing that I really like is they tried to use a picture from that game if possible, and that's what they did here. So they were very intentional about a lot of the stuff in this product, which I really appreciate that. Shows you when they want to be intentional that they could be, and they just haven't for a few years. But anyway, they are now. I really appreciate that. And this comes from the front of the shorts. So if you look, I put a picture of the shorts there on the right. Not maybe not necessarily his pair of shorts, but a game issued set of shorts. So you could take a look at that up close. So I thought that was a really cool looking patch. Speaking of Christmas stuff, you might remember from the first video that they have a couple of dedicated Christmas sets in here. They've got the holiday logo man. So I just put some more pictures of those in here. I don't, there's no real sleuthing that has to go with that. And then there was the holiday laundry tags, although we found that there have been some patches in there as well. Like the Nuggets players, I think, had some patches. And then you can see this Jason Richardson has a patch as well. I couldn't find a picture of Jason Richardson from Christmas wearing it, but I did have a shot here of Robin Lopez. So I thought I'd go ahead and show that. There was another Christmas relic in the product, though, that's come up that sold recently for almost $800. And this one kind of stumped me because this is clearly a Christmas Day logo man. All right, no problem with that. So Evan Fournier was on the Knicks, and they brought these logo man patches back in 2023. So I have the tweet that talks about that. And that was the last year that Evan Fournier was on the Knicks. So, all the pieces are there to kind of figure out, okay, we can definitely narrow this down. But he didn't play on that Christmas Day game. So, maybe he was issued this jersey and maybe he wore it. Maybe he sat on the bench the whole time. I don't have great pictures from the bench that game, but it is considered game worn, I guess, because he was at the game and they didn't put him in the game. But I don't know. That's kind of a weird situation. I mean, most people would consider that a game issued jersey, did not play coach's decision. So take that for what you will. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not game worn. I just think that the facts there are a little strange, but Panini probably didn't even know that. I don't know. Who knows? All right, let's look at some other stuff here. I showed a ton of giant logo man patches from warm-ups in the first video. I'm not going to show you where each and every one of those came from, but guess what? We've got more Timberwolves stuff here. So I do feel pretty confident, though, that this Levine and this Wiggins one are like the shirts that you see on the, who is that? Shabazz Muhammad and Gorgie Dang, I think. So I don't have pictures of Levine and Wiggins, but it's that same style of shirt. Similarly, we see these giant logo man pieces. I still think it's from this style of Adidas jacket. We've seen them take those from those before. And then this one was really fun. This was an oversized logo, but immediately when I looked at it, I said, that's got to be from a shirt. And I remembered that there are a lot of Jazz patches in Select and Silhouette and a few other products that have these Black History Month shooting shirts that they wore at some point. So I was able to match that up. And then lo and behold, later on, some more pieces from that shirt came out. So I feel very confident about matching that up. Not necessarily the exact game. I think they wore them for multiple games, but that's definitely the relic where that logo man piece came from. All right, this next one was a bit of a challenge, although you could kind of tell by looking at it, that's not an Adidas era patch because the Adidas era patches just have a lot more stitching and fabric to them. There wasn't as much plastic stuff as we've seen here in the Nike era. So the moment I saw that, I thought that's got to be a Nike patch. I did some digging. I feel pretty confident it's from this warm-up jacket here that you see him wearing on the right. And then here are some other logos. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these. You can see the material types are different. Like that Lillard's probably from a jacket. The Middletowns is probably from a shirt, like an Adidas shirt, I'm thinking, because of the holes in there. That's kind of typical of the Climalite material. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff. Let's go to another logo man patch here. This is one from Campaign. It's not much of a mystery. I just thought it was cool because I haven't seen these jerseys used much. This was their City Editions one year, and I've seen several patches from that City Edition jersey. All right, speaking of, Jumbo, let's actually move to some brand logos, I guess I should say. So let's move to some brand logos. So we've got this Gary Harris here, and you can see it's kind of a different looking material, and it's not as stitched as some of the other stuff. I feel pretty confident that this is from a pair of warm-up pants like you see on the right. The picture of the card itself is kind of bright, so it looks brighter than the material that you see there, but I do believe that is a match. Another pair of warm-up pants that is worth checking out is this Nurkic patch here, this Nurkic Adidas patch. So the Adidas era lasted until 2016, 2017. That was the last season where they used Adidas stuff. So starting in 2017, 2018, they switched to Nike. So I knew it had to be before 2017, 2018. Well, when you look at his game log, he was traded mid-season, so he only played 20 games for Portland. So this pair of pants has to be from that time frame at the end of the 2016-2017 season. So I was able to find a picture of him wearing them, although you can't see the Adidas patch, but you can see right behind him, who is that? Myers Leonard, that is wearing that same style. All right, so some more similar style pants here. We've got Drummond. I think that's from the same style of pants. They kind of make the same style for every team when they make a lot of this stuff, or for a lot of the teams. So one thing that when you find it for one team, it's likely to be the same for the others. All right, different brand logo. I mentioned the Nike era. Let's move to that Nike era. Here we've got a some type of a gray material with a stitched Nike swoosh, but it doesn't look like the Nike swooshes that are on jerseys necessarily, because those kind of are a little more elevated. So I knew once again this has to be from the Nike era, so we know that it's from 2017 on, and this in this case it's Jamal Crawford. So if you look at his game logs, well, he only played in Minnesota for the 2017-2018 season, so I was able to narrow it down to that time frame. I was looking at a lot of team photos, and I've got a picture of Andrew Wiggins here. I've got a couple guys actually, but I think it's from this gray shirt, and it all lines up because then when you look at some of the other Jamal Crawford cards in the set here, you see that there are a couple pieces from that ball logo that's on the right front of the shirt, and then there are like these, I don't know, claw marks. I don't know what you want to call those, but I've seen those in a lot of the unnumbered jumbos, and even some of the numbered jumbos as well. So this one has the dark claw marks or whatever we're calling that. So that would be from the front of the shirt. And then the back of the shirt, things are kind of reversed. So that's actually this numbered copy here that's 24 out of 49. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was kind of wondering where those came from. I didn't think there was a Timberwolves jersey like that. And finding that Nike swoosh kind of made me or helped me discover that other stuff as well. All right, let's go to a few other random pieces here. We've got some Kelly Olynyk Shamrock pieces. Those are from shorts from St. Patrick's Day. They wore those a few different years, so I can't pinpoint an exact year, but definitely shorts from St. Patrick's Day from the Adidas era. We've got this Damian Lillard patch here. You just see the word man, but you can kind of tell that it's not a sponsor patch, even though it's the same style. So it's definitely Nike era, but it's some sort of a tribute patch. Well, those aren't too hard to figure out. I went on and did a little searching and found from July of 2020 that they're for Harry Glickman, who was an executive, and he was the team president from one of the founders of the Blazers and the team president from 1987 to 1994. Another tribute patch I've seen is this band. Here you see the letter R. It's from RDV, which was Rich DeVos, who was the owner of the Orlando Magic. He died in 2018. And actually, they wore a band the season before that I think said HDV for his wife, Helen DeVos. And I saw one of those pulled in a break. I didn't get a screen cap of it. So just know, though, if you see one of these in a Magic card that has an H, it's for Helen. If you see one that has R, it's for Rich. Either way, though, it's for the DeVosses. All right. Next up, we've got these Hardwood Classic Nights tags. I showed you the Monta Ellis in the first video. That was a 1 of 1. Most of them are 1 of 1s. This JJ Barea is numbered 2 out of 2. So on the back, they don't necessarily tell you what game it's from. They just have this write-up about how he was wearing green. And it was one of those Hardwood Classics jerseys. So that I don't know exactly what jersey it's from, but it is a green jersey. And that lines up because if you've looked in the past, they've had green jersey pieces before. I imagine this is just that jumbo tag from some of the jerseys that they've used up in these cards here. There is an interesting Hardwood Classic Night card, though, of Kyrie Irving. So the write up specifically mentions November 18th, 2016, which is how he's pictured on the card. That's not a Hardwood Classics Night uniform, though. And then the below the write up, though, it says the enclosed material was worn used during Irving's game on February 10th, 2016. And that is a Hardwood Classics jersey. So I think maybe they just didn't have a picture on file and they didn't want to, I don't know, they didn't want to purchase one and go through all that. I get it. It's still a nice looking card. I am glad that it's game dated though, and I do believe that this tag is from the date that they have stated, the 2/10/2016 date. All right, another cool tag card here of a superstar. We've got a Dwayne Wade All-Star card. I think I showed an Amari Stoudemire in the first video. If you look at the back of this one, it says the enclosed game-worn used material, which was worn used before the 2011 All-Star game. So that tells you it's a warm-up, is guaranteed by Panini America. Well, I was very familiar with these warm-ups, like you see on the bottom right, he's wearing them there, because we saw these pieces in a ton of cards before, not just for Dwayne Wade. They had so many of these warm-ups in that early, like 2011, 12, 13 Panini era. We used to see these pieces in all sorts of cards. I mean, you can still find them in cards. Another tag that I found was this DeMarcus Cousins. It said the same thing on the back. It was worn before the 2011 All-Star game. So I'm assuming, well, it's got to be a warm-up from that All-Star game, but he didn't play in that All-Star game. So, what exactly did they mean there? And we had to kind of look at some of the previous relics that we've had because remember, this is a lot of leftover stuff. So they did have a black relic from the old Rookie Challenge. It was in 2010-2011 season update. So I'm guessing, based off this picture here on the right, that it was from maybe they had a pair of pants that he used before the Rookie Challenge, and that's probably where this tag came from as well. All right, let's move into the final stuff. I promised you that at the start of the video. This has gone a little longer than I thought it would, but that's all right. So let's look at some NBA final stuff here. Just some cool stuff. I guess this isn't necessarily sourcing as much as it is showing it off. We've got the duel with Duncan and Ginobili. I think that's really cool. The Klay Thompson, the every player, every game tag. And then finally, here's that Luka Doncic. I swear, this came out the day after I recorded the last video. But it's the giant logo man patch. And I don't know, I kind of wondered if it would look better positioned the other way in the card. And then this Daniel Gafford came out and it is positioned the other way. And I'm kind of thinking, well, I don't know, maybe I like the way of the Luka better. I kind of thought they could probably made the Luka into two pieces, which they did with the Gafford. I haven't seen the other piece yet, but the Luka is in fact a one of one. But I still kept thinking these would look better if the card was just oriented the other way. Well, guess what else emerged? Not in a final set, though, even though there was a set for the 2024 finals. We had these two finals logo man cards of players from the 2024 finals, and they're numbered. This one's 3 of 5, and then the Hauser's 3 of 4. So they're not all finals logos, but they just mixed them in with other stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting. Why didn't they label them as being from the finals? But I don't know. I really don't have any explanation for that. But I thought that they were worth showing nonetheless. And actually, a friend of mine bought this Hauser, so I might have a video on that here. I'm doing a little bit of research. I've got some theories. I'm not going to go into that here. I did have a couple slides made up, and I took them off for right now because there's already so much to show. So anyway, that is all for part number 2. Thank you to those of you that have stuck around this long. I really do appreciate it. I love putting these kind of videos together. They take a long time, but it's my favorite kind of content to make. So I hope you really enjoyed that. If you did, help me out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, there are new episodes of the audio podcast that come out every Thursday. And as always, thanks for watching.